G'day, Chief. Welcome to the Inner Chief podcast and this special episode, which we call The Mini Chief. These are short, sharp highlights from our fabulous guests, where you get a 5 to 10 minute snapshot of the highlights from their episode. Right, Chief, without further ado, here is the Mini Chief episode for this week with Kate Newey, HR Chief of the Adaptalift Group. Let's talk about the future of work. I'm fascinated to hear what's going on in your world. And I mean, AI is with us now for good or for bad. I mean, I think there is some enormous challenges we're going to face around some of the ethics and the morals and the depth and the breadth of its role in our society and what it really could do from a workforce perspective. I think one of the great fears is things like mass unemployment if we're not careful. But in many cases, HR is now finding itself at the center of the AI debate and being thrust into this kind of role. What role do you see HR playing in understanding the adoption and design or strategy around AI in the workplace?
So that is a great topic for us to unpack, Greg. And I think it's evolving so quickly. Like in our work time and in my career, we haven't had such a big disruptor in, I don't know, since the internet. It's huge in terms of what's coming. And I think we think about ChatGPT, which launched October 23, only 18 months ago that we're talking about now, nearly 2 years. And the way that has evolved. And I think every time I open LinkedIn, there's an article about do this, do that, and use this. There's just new products hitting the market every single week. So you might think you found something great, and then the next week it's replaced by something else. Just the state of how fast all the technology is updating right now is really wild. And I think it's really topical in my HR network, and we've been talking about this a lot. And it's something that I'd probably call myself a bit of a dinosaur a couple of months ago. And it was probably a bit harsh, really, but I just sort of took it upon myself going, I've really got to get my head around this and understand how this can be pushed through our organization, because I could see that, it wasn't really no one was leading the charge. And I think if you think that your people aren't using it, you would be in denial, because you walk through the floor, you see ChatGPT open, people are using that. If it's banned in your organization, they're using it on their phones.
Yep.
They are using it. You would be in denial if you thought that they weren't. So I think,
and be honest, that they should be using.
They should, absolutely.
So the only thing you'd probably say, just be careful of data. That's
Correct.
that's what you're really worried about, is them using open source without an account with company information, and then that is a big concern.
Correct. I think, and if I overlay that with the sort of the HR view of the world, is that, you don't want to be the first company on the front page of the Herald Sun because one of your people's done something really crazy and put some, you don't want the KFC special sauce recipe out there or anything like that that's been put in OpenAI, for example. So I think having, as an organization, working out what your guardrails are, I think there's a real, I've noticed in our HR group, a lot of people saying, I said, anyone who's running AI literacy training, there's a bit of a buzzword at the minute around what's possible. So getting your executive team, I guess, building their skills. It's a little bit, I heard this last week, there's no such thing as AI experts, just people that have practiced it for longer. And I think that's so true, because it's just evolving so quickly. And now there's people coming out, running training and being thought leaders around AI, which is fine and it's great. And we need all of that. But in your internal organization, demystifying it, I think there's a lot of fear about what we were just talking about, some of those guardrails and people using it for evil or not using it properly from a risk and a cybersecurity point of view, but understanding how can you actually be curious about it and what is possible? What are the possible use cases? I think when I talked about myself as an AI dinosaur a few months ago, I was getting frustrated because everywhere it was saying AI, use AI, and it was just getting slapped in your face, but it wasn't actually practical in terms of, okay, but how? How can I use this? What's the practical use cases for me as a HR leader in my team? But we, I guess as a team, have just gotten curious about it and lean into what's possible and what are the tools out there that can reduce some of that hack work and admin time that we're doing so that we can actually spend that on value add activities and being more strategic and doing more coaching, which there's certainly AI coach tools, but I think the human element of that that's not going anywhere anytime soon. But I think where there's a role for HR to play is, okay, set up the guardrails.
Yep.
Whether you're a business, like I'm hearing businesses that are we've banned at end of the spectrum, you can't use it, too risky, to yep, go for it. We've got the enterprise version, so it's locked in and you can go nuts in here versus, we're building our own GPTs and here's all the use cases. People go wild, have a good time, find better ways of doing your job. We're seeing the traditional talent models being tested. So, buy, borrow, build bot. What can we automate? What can technology do for us so that we can reduce the time our people are spending on, EPL tasks, right?
Yeah. I think that is a really important moment in time that now HR chiefs have added a word to that.
Yeah.
Never been in the mix before. And we're going to talk about organizational design in a minute. And I think this is an important precursor to that. So what do you mean by buy, borrow, build bot?
Buy, borrow, build being your traditional talent model. We're in a talent scarce market. There's skills, in our organization, we've got skills required that take 4-year qualifications, for example, to build. So we have to do a lot of buying to get our talent in. As I said, we've got overseas recruitment programs. Is it cross-functional skills? So looking at your skills matrix across your organization, where you can move and redeploy people across the organization as well. But now it's going, okay, well, we've got all these really hard to fill roles, or we've got all this human capital. What can we actually automate? And I know there's been a lot of, scary articles going, all our roles are going to be replaced by AI. Yeah, there'll be some roles that AI will have a huge impact on. But it's actually, from my perspective, going, well, what can we automate to then free up their time to reinvest as a business? So reinvest that time into other activities that a human does need to do. I mean, our core business is servicing machinery, and I can't see that we're going to have AI fixing forklifts anytime soon. However, things like diagnostic tools and things like that would absolutely be part of the roadmap in terms of, you take a photo of something and it gives you the instructions of what you need to do to fix it. So the other thing that I've been hearing a lot about is, well, someone think of the grads. What are grads going to do? We all cut our teeth doing the hack work, data entry, reports, going through, what you would call more lower level tasks. They're being replaced by AI. What will it look like for my 7-year-old in, 10, 12 years time?
I think the bit about grads, I think that's really important is right back to what you said at the beginning is there's a textbook answer and then there's a school of hard knocks where you actually learn through experience. And if you're not like doing more entry level kind of work where you're learning and then going to meetings and watching how other leaders deal with things, where are you getting that life experience? If we don't even need you in the office, like we don't need someone who's as junior as you because I've got an agent or a bot or someone's tool doing that for us. What are we doing for the next generation to bring them on this journey in volume? I think that is a real concern that I think anyone who's a parent will certainly be wondering, what on earth are my kids going to do? Even the ones that are actually in the workforce right now.
But even the traditional university model, like I can remember writing essays and essays and essays for every single subject, referencing, showing my age, but you did have to use the internet back then, and sometimes books, and you'd reference them all over the place. And then you would physically print it out and hand it in a box by 5:00 on the due date. Then you also put it through a very old software that then passed it to see if you plagiarized.
Yep.
Now, right now, I wouldn't even have to write that essay. AI could do that for me. So even the art of communication and putting together words, like you and I have our whole career and our whole life experience of knowing how to write an email and knowing how to communicate with someone in a written form, and knowing how to present something. all those skills are going to get lost because I don't need to know how to do them. The AI will do it for me. So yeah, it's really, really interesting as a society where we're at in 20 years time and this new generation, but equally this new generation are also the natives that's grown up with this. So as an organization, if you haven't got the tools and if you aren't supporting them with the AI or if it's banned, when it's a dirty word, then they're not going to want to be part of that either. So it's really fighting a balance as, I keep calling myself a dinosaur, but it's, sometimes it's like teaching your grandpa how to use an iPhone. Like it's really starting small with your business and, teaching them little bits and this is what's possible, taking them on the journey and then working out what's possible for your business and what's going to work best in your particular environment. Because I don't think there's a one size fits all. It's looking for your champions in the business. So, in some instances, it might be in your IT team. In other instances, it might be in your HR team, or it might be sitting in operations and they're sitting there going, do you know there's a better way of doing this? Do you know there's this product and we have, we might not know about it. So finding those champions and those early adopters in the business, I think where, people that are willing to be curious and trial it.
Yep. Just on that AI side there, like any final words of wisdom or thoughts about the future of work? What would be your two or three principles? Put you on the spot.
I think when it comes to the AI, as an exec team, work out what your guardrails are. How can it work in your organization, and what are the parameters that you need to put in place, I guess, to de-risk it a little bit, so it's less scary for everybody involved. But I think if you are in a sort of denial, it's probably not really going to work. We talked about that younger workforce coming through. They're demanding it. Use it in a way that meets your strategy. So don't necessarily use it in the same way as everyone else because this is what everyone else is doing. You've got to use it in a way that's actually going to help your organization and be centric to your organization. And I think, it's this big disruption going on right now. And you can kind of get caught up in, oh gosh, there's a new product every week. What's the best tool for me to use? Just start somewhere. Start small, let it grow, be curious, have a play, see what's going to work. And if it doesn't work, try something else and just keep adjusting. I think it's just going to be this evolution and this moving beast that's not going to slow down. So if you're not on the train, get on the train.
All right, Chief, there we have it for this week with your mini Chief episode. All the links and show notes can be found at chiefmaker.com/370. Chief, do you want the ultimate resource to help you influence stakeholders, the good, the bad, and all in between that are costing you stress and results? Go to chiefmaker.com/stakeholders, and there is a comprehensive PDF there with tools to map stakeholders, build profiles, and plans to engage them and influence. That's at chiefmaker.com/stakeholders. And if you would like to stay in touch and hear all about some of the best resources that you can find anywhere in the world to improve your performance at work, go to chiefmaker.com/subscribe. Now, Chief, if you're yet to rate the episode and subscribe, I hope you'll do so soon. It helps others see the magnificent value that the chiefs and gurus bring to their life and career. So make sure you hit subscribe on your podcast app now, give it a 5-star rating if you think it's worthy, and leave a short review about your favourite episode. Righto, Chiefs, as always, remember to stay epic.